On September 28, 2015, Jim Carrey suffered one of the most devastating losses. His ex-girlfriend, with whom he had broken up just 3 days prior, was found dead from an overdose of antidepressant pills. The Los Angeles County coroner ruled her death a suicide. As a result of this tragic event, Carrey faced accusations from his ex-girlfriend's family, who blamed him for supplying the drugs. But to fully understand his story, we need to go back in time and explore his humble beginnings. In his early years, Jim Carrey led a somewhat difficult life. From a very young age, he showed an innate talent for making people laugh. So much so that young Jim would go to bed with his tap shoes nearby, just in case his parents argued at night. He could get up and dance a little to make them laugh. When his mother became ill, he made it his mission to cheer her up any way he could by making funny faces and doing impressions of famous people. Jim Carrey's father, Percy, was a clerical worker and an amateur musician. One day, he lost his job suddenly, which forced the family to live in a trailer on a friend's property. When his classmates found out, he became the target of mockery and humiliation. At just 9 years old, Jim showed a talent for impressions, and he honed his technique every day in front of the mirror. His father eventually found work, but it wasn't enough to make ends meet, so Jim and his siblings worked as night janitors in a tire factory, leading Jim to drop out of school. Despite the hopelessness he felt, Jim was encouraged by his father to try his luck as a comedian in local bars. Though his talent was evident, luck seemed to elude him. Jim Carrey's first performance was at the age of 15, and it was a complete failure. However, he didn't let this episode bring him down. At 18, he left Canada and moved to Los Angeles. There, he worked as a comedian in several comedy clubs around the city, including the famous The Comedy Store. During this time, he took on odd jobs, making appearances in some movies and TV shows while searching for his big break in Hollywood. In 1985, when financial strain weighed heavily on him, Jim Carrey decided to write himself a check for $10 million. He kept it in his pocket, promising himself that one day he would achieve his dream and earn that amount. After a long and hard struggle, he made it as an actor and exceeded that amount, becoming one of the highest-paid comedy actors. In 1994, he reached the peak of his popularity by starring in 3 of his most memorable movies in the same year: Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber. However, Jim Carrey didn't just excel in comedic roles. He also managed to carve out a space for himself in the dramatic genre. His talent and versatility earned him 2 Golden Globe Awards. The first was in 1998 when he played Truman Burbank in The Truman Show, where he portrayed a man whose entire life was a television show. A year later, in 1999, he played Andy Kaufman, a famous comedian known for his absurd humor, in the movie Man on the Moon. For this performance, he won his 2nd consecutive Golden Globe, and Carrey took his character to the extreme, as he didn't just act, but transformed into the late comedian in such a profound way that at times it seemed as though Kaufman had come back to life through his performance. Both films were highly praised and are considered some of the best work of his career. For over a decade, Carrey established himself as Hollywood's leading comedian. Every movie he made became an immediate success. However, despite his achievements, he didn't feel satisfied. At the height of his fame, Jim lost his father, having already lost his mother 3 years earlier. Doctors diagnosed the actor with severe depression, and Carrey later admitted that on set, he was always a positive person who lifted everyone's spirits. But when he got home, he felt lonely and empty. In recent years, Jim Carrey experienced a decline in both his artistic career and his personal life. Despite his initial success, quality movie offers became scarce, and he found himself dealing with a series of complicated relationships. As I mentioned earlier, his girlfriend, Catriona White, died after ingesting an overdose of antidepressants prescribed to Carrey. He and White began their relationship in 2012, although it lasted only a few months. They reconnected in May 2015, but broke up shortly before White took her own life. The most shocking part was that alongside Catriona's body, a note was found accusing Carrey of breaking up with her and leaving her in a sad and lonely situation. After the tragic news, Jim Carrey released a statement. "I am shocked and deeply saddened by the passing of my sweet Catriona. She was a truly kind and delicate Irish flower, too sensitive for this soil. My heart goes out to her family and friends and to everyone who loved and cared about her. We have all been hit with a lightning bolt." Later, several accusations surfaced in the media. Catriona's mother, Bridget Sweetman, and her ex-husband, Mark Burton, filed separate lawsuits against Carrey. They alleged alleged that he had provided the drugs Catriona used to take her own life, and that he had also infected her with a sexually transmitted disease. However, these lawsuits were dismissed in 2018. The negative publicity and accusations affected Carrey's image in the industry. Some productions began to view him differently, and he went from being a major star to becoming disposable. After stepping away from the cameras and distancing himself from everything that was being fabricated about him, Jim Carrey admitted that he chose to do so because he was tired of corporations manipulating certain crucial matters as they saw fit. In recent years, Jim Carrey has led a quiet life, away from the public eye. He has devoted himself to painting, one of his greatest passions. After his role in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, he officially announced his retirement from acting. However, he left the door open for future projects, stating that he would return if offered a role truly worth playing. Let me know in the comments what you think about this story, and if you liked the video, I invite you to check out this one about the tragic life of Keanu Reeves.